Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri Appellate Attorney, and today we're not going to talk about the law. No, we're going to talk about something that is more important, I think, because apparently nobody in Hollywood understands gun safety. So today, this is a gun. Let's talk about it. Now, before we get started, I want to show you a couple of things. First of all, this gun is unloaded. As you can see, there's nothing in the chamber. I have checked it both visually and by sticking my finger in it to make sure there is nothing in it. There is no magazine in the magazine well. There is no way this gun can go off. Even if I release the slide, it still can't go off because there is not a round in the chamber. But if somebody walked through that door right now and I point this gun at them, I am stupid, because you treat every gun as if it's loaded all the time. All the time. There are no exceptions to that. There are no exceptions to it if somebody tells you it's a cold gun. First of all, if somebody tells you that some gun is cold, you should verify that yourself personally. How do we verify that? Well, first of all, in a semi-automatic pistol like that SIG P320 I was holding, you take out the magazine, you look to make sure there's nothing in the chamber, you open the pistol up and you check it visually and digitally. You put your little finger in there and make sure that no round got stuck accidentally, because it happens. And in fact, when you visually check it, you not only check it, but you look away and then you check it again. And the reason you do that is because sometimes our eyes see what we want to see and not what's actually there. So you have to double check. And this is how you check to make sure that a revolver is not loaded. You simply open up the chamber and take a look in this manner. Now you're probably wondering, what's all this brouhaha about all this double checking and treating every gun like it's loaded? Well, let's draw a little bit of analogy, right? When they send the space shuttle up, or when they sent the Apollo rockets up to the moon, every critical system that supported life had a backup system. Everything had a redundant backup. And in fact, that's what allowed the Apollo mission that went south, Apollo 13, to return to Earth. They used all of those redundant backups. They were necessary. And they're necessary because things happen. You can't predict when Murphy is going to show up and visit Murphy's Law upon you. Murphy's Law is the only law you can't appeal. So, again, dear Hollywood, pay attention here. Don't point guns at people unless you want to kill them. That includes even in a movie. The first rule of gun safety is to treat every gun like it's loaded. And the reason for that is sometimes, even after checking a gun, it is loaded. I don't know how that happens. Nobody knows how that happens. Nobody can explain on this Rust set how it happened there. But it happened. A guy was given a cold gun, told it was a cold gun, and when he drew from his holster, it wasn't a cold gun, and a lady is dead because of it. All of this is, you can fix all of this just by treating every gun like it's loaded. Now, the second rule of gun safety is keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire the weapon. Or, in the more earthy tones that gun people talk about, keep your booger hook off the bang switch. It's as simple as that. Keep your finger off the trigger. People who know what they are doing when they are working with firearms, when they withdraw their pistol from the holster, they keep their finger indexed along the side of the slide. Let me show you. When I pull this from my holster, my finger is indexed along the side of the pistol. It isn't down here holding on to what we call the bang switch or the trigger. It's up here, and there's a reason for that. The reason for that is you train like you expect to fight if you ever have to. And you don't want to shoot yourself. In fact, a lot of people carry appendix, which is basically with the pistol pointing right down into some parts of the body that nobody wants to get shot off. And when you pull that weapon out, the last thing in the world you want is for your finger to get down into the trigger guard and pull that trigger, causing you to shoot yourself. More importantly, when you pull that pistol up and out, you have to keep it pointed in a safe direction, up and down range. Down range for sure, at something that you do want to shoot. And if there's nothing out there that you want to shoot, keep it pointed down, hopefully all the way down, so that in the event you do cause it to go off, it won't kill anyone. Let's make this really clear and really simple. There is no such thing as an accidental discharge. There is only a negligent discharge. And a negligent discharge occurs because, I know Hollywood's going to have a trouble with this, but it's the truth. A negligent discharge occurs because someone is negligent. They don't do what a reasonable and prudent person would do. And they certainly don't do it if they have any familiarity with firearms, because you treat every firearm like it's loaded, you keep your finger off the trigger, you point it in a safe direction, and you don't put your finger on the trigger until you are ready to shoot. And if you are ready to shoot, you better be pointing at something that you want to kill or destroy. There is nothing other than that. I like to say there's a fifth rule of gun safety, which is you never pull a pistol when you're angry. But that's another video. The bottom line is this: you absolutely have to treat every gun as if it's loaded. And if you do that, then you don't have to worry about accidental discharges, or negligent discharges is the more correct term. The reason you don't have to worry about that is because you will be practicing gun safety at all times. Now, I realize that in a movie, it may be necessary to point a prop gun at someone. I think that to the extent that camera angles work the way they do, the person you're pointing it at in the movie can be here, and you can point it over here, and nobody knows the difference because the camera is set in a way that it doesn't show that difference. The reason for this, Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee got shot by a gun that was supposedly cold, and it killed him. And now we have another victim of Hollywood's accidents and their negligence in gun culture. All it takes is the time necessary to take a firearms safety course to know how to handle firearms safely. That's all it takes. Just take the time, go to the course, learn what these things do and how they operate. If you do that, there is a really good chance you won't accidentally kill someone. Okay, that's the end of this rant. I feel very badly for the people who were injured and the family of the person who was killed in the Rust shooting. I make no light of that. That is a tragedy, an unimaginable tragedy. And while it is tempting to point fingers and mock the actor who was involved, particularly given his odious conduct on social media, I won't do that either. And I won't do it only because I'm a human being who happens to respect other human beings, and I will take for granted that his tears are actual and not something that is a product of the acting profession. I hope that's the case. But at any rate, this is a tragedy and we need to learn from it in Hollywood. You know, Hollywood, and particularly a lot of stars are out there like Liam Neeson, and they use guns in their films, but they don't want any of the public to have guns. I find that to be completely hypocritical. If you make money from shooting pictures with guns in them, you have an absolute duty to demonstrate safe gun conduct in the movie. There are a number of movie posters, and I'll show them here in just a second. There are a number of movie posters that show, instead of this finger being indexed along the trigger, they show it inside the trigger. And they do that repeatedly, I suppose, because it makes it look more action-packed. But it is unsafe. And people who go to movies tend to do the monkey see, monkey do thing. They don't go out and take a gun course. They rely on what they saw in the movies. The problem with that is, if you don't practice gun safety all the time, at some point, it's going to kill you or somebody else. The least Hollywood could do is give us pictures that demonstrate gun safety. That's the cops demonstrating gun safety. That's the bad guys demonstrating gun safety. Because you know what? Even bad guys don't want to shoot themselves. For heaven's sakes, think about that. So, that's the end of my rant on the Rust shooting. I'm going to entitle this Dear Hollywood, This is a Gun. And hopefully somebody will get the message that we treat guns with respect. If you've enjoyed this, I would appreciate it if you would click on that like button for me and go over here and click on the subscribe icon if you haven't already and join our channel so that you can be notified whenever we release a video here on this channel. Most of my content is related to law, and I will be looking at the legal issues of the Rust shooting here in just a little bit, but I wanted to get this out on gun safety first because, frankly, more people need to understand that gun safety is no accident. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on here next time.